Sometimes, the toughest battles we fight are the ones within ourselves. Our story tonight follows Sarah, a woman who appeared to have everything in life under control. She was the rock everyone relied on, a caring friend, a supportive sister, and a hard worker. But there was a secret she kept hidden from those around her. She was at war with herself, pushing far beyond her limits to meet impossible expectations. One cold November morning, everything changed. A moment of desperation, an overwhelming feeling of failure. Sarah was about to learn a life-altering lesson in patience, but not in the way she expected. Tonight's tale will leave you questioning, what happens when the person who needs your patience the most is you? Sarah had always been the person others turned to for advice, emotional support, and help. She loved being dependable, and she thrived on being the one people knew they could count on. Whether it was helping her best friend, Rachel, get through a tough breakup, or staying late at work to help a colleague finish an important project, Sarah never hesitated to put others first. But behind the scenes, Sarah was falling apart. Her job as a marketing executive demanded long hours and endless creativity. Her family relied on her to organize every holiday. And even in her friendships, she felt like she was the one who always gave more than she received. She was exhausted, but more than that, she was disappointed in herself. No matter how hard she worked, she felt like she wasn't doing enough. One November morning, Sarah woke up to a seemingly ordinary day. The sky was cloudy, and the chill in the air matched the heaviness she felt inside. She was running late for work after spending the previous night trying to finish a marketing pitch that still didn't feel good enough. As she rushed through her morning routine, she glanced at her reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were tired, her face pale. For a fleeting second, she wondered when the last time was that she had taken a break or even just paused to breathe. At work, the day unfolded into chaos. Deadlines had been moved up, her team was overwhelmed, and her inbox was flooded with urgent emails. Sarah could feel the tension building in her chest as each new problem arose. She sat at her desk, hands shaking, feeling as though she was being swallowed by the weight of it all. Then came the final straw. Her boss, Mark, called her into his office, his tone serious. "Sarah, I need to talk to you about the pitch. It's not what we were expecting. You'll need to stay late tonight and get this fixed." Sarah's heart dropped. She had worked tirelessly on that project, sacrificing sleep and her personal time, and now it wasn't enough. She nodded quietly, suppressing the tears that threatened to spill over. She returned to her desk, her mind spinning with frustration, shame, and anger at herself. Why couldn't she do better? Why wasn't she stronger? As the hours ticked by, the office slowly emptied until she was the last one there, staring at the screen with bloodshot eyes. The pitch wasn't the problem anymore. She knew that. The problem was deeper, more personal, and she was drowning in it. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "Hey, are you okay? You haven't answered my calls in days." Sarah stared at the screen for a long moment, unable to muster the energy to reply. She realized that she wasn't okay. In fact, she hadn't been okay for a long time. That's when it hit her: the one person she had been completely impatient with all this time was herself. The thought scared her. Sarah had always believed that being strong meant pushing through, that patience was for the benefit of others. She had never considered that she deserved it just as much. But now, as she sat alone in the dim office, she realized that her relentless self-criticism and impossible standards were breaking her. In that moment, Sarah made a decision. She packed up her things, leaving the unfinished pitch behind. She wasn't going to fix it tonight. She wasn't going to push herself past the point of exhaustion again. For the first time in what felt like forever, she chose to be kind to herself. The next day, she called in sick, something she had never done, unless she was physically unable to move. She spent the day at home, doing nothing but resting. At first, the guilt gnawed at her. But as the hours passed, she began to feel something new: relief. It wasn't just the physical rest she needed. It was the mental and emotional break. She realized that being patient with herself wasn't a sign of weakness. In fact, it took more strength than anything else she had ever done. Over the next few weeks, Sarah began to implement small changes. She set boundaries at work, allowing herself to leave at a reasonable hour. She started saying no to things she didn't have the energy for, and she gave herself permission to take breaks when she needed them. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when the old guilt would resurface, but Sarah reminded herself that she was human, not a machine. The real turning point came during a family dinner when her sister, Claire, pulled her aside. "You seem different," Claire said. "Lighter, somehow, happier. What changed?" Sarah smiled, feeling the weight that had once pressed on her shoulders lift slightly. "I'm learning to be patient with myself," she said simply. Claire nodded. "It's about time. Thank you for joining us tonight for another episode of Tales with Meaning." Sarah's story reminds us that while it's important to be patient with others, it's just as vital to extend that same grace to ourselves. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards, pushing beyond our limits, and then wondering why we feel so drained. But as Sarah discovered, patience with yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. In the end, Sarah's journey wasn't about quitting or giving up. It was about finding balance and acknowledging that she deserved the same compassion she gave to everyone else. She learned that real strength comes not from enduring without end, but from knowing when to pause, reflect, and heal. What can we take from this story? Simply put, you are worthy of your own patience. In a world that moves fast and demands more, don't forget to take a moment to breathe, to rest, and to show yourself the kindness you so freely give to others. Thanks for listening. We hope Sarah's story resonated with you, and we look forward to sharing more meaningful tales next time.